Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry, and it's time once again to venture into the Fabled Lands. Now, when last we left off here, Lorg of the Warrior was being indecisive in Yellowport, deciding how best to proceed with his adventures. Now looking so far, combat is his forte, it's his mainstay. Sanctity and scouting. Now scouting we've had a little boost because we defeated the Wereborn. And we do have a quest to deliver the Oaken Staff to the Willow Druid up here in the forest somewhere. And that quest will also give us another point of scouting, at which point that will become a reasonably good skill for him to rely upon, or rather ability score. It would be nice to increase some of these. Now, what do we know about the warrior in his current situation? The warrior needs to up his non-combat stats to become more capable in adventuring in general. He also needs more expensive weapons and more expensive armor. These things are not easy to come by, and the easiest way to get all that money is to buy a ship. And a ship would cost a little bit more than we already have, so we need to get some more money. A good way of getting money and armor would be going to Venofax to deal with the what do you call it? The issues up there, which give a good sizable reward. However, that involves possibly failing a scouting check, and we can increase that scouting check if we can deal with the druids. So what I'm going to do is check the shops. I can't remember, I think it's Sanctity for the Druids test. I'm going to take a gamble and assume that it is. And then we're going to equip that holy symbol. So now Sanctity is up to a 5. So he's more of a holy warrior. A crusader, if you will. You could even say a Templar of sorts, although he doesn't really quite look the type. So he's steadfast in his belief. Thievery, magic and charisma are rather lacking, however, so we'll want to work on those. At this point, we're going to go to Shadar Tor. You're on the cobbled road between Yellowport and Marlock City. It is well kept by the Sakaran military. You spot a man up ahead, striding towards you. Suddenly, 5 or 6 bandits appear from the wayside to assault him. The lone figure executes a series of movements, almost faster than the eye can see, and you see his sword flashing in the sun. Moments later, the bandits are all lying dead or dying around him. You stop to compliment him on his swordsmanship. The man, a grizzled veteran of many campaigns, regards you with steely grey eyes and says, "I have learned much of the arts of war in my time, it is true." Impressed by his skill and demeanour, you venture to ask him to teach you some of these arts. He looks you up and down with a critical eye. Now this is a test we can virtually guarantee a success on. He seems to see something he approves of, because he says, "Perhaps, but first you must prove yourself. There is a knight, a man of great evil. He is known as the Black Dragon Knight. Defeat him in battle and I will teach you. Bring me back his black dragon shield as proof of your valor." With that, he turns and walks away. "But how will I find him? And then how will I find you?" you cry. "Would you have me kill him for you as well?" he asks over his shoulder. "As for the second, Ask for me in the Blue Griffin Tavern in Karanbaru. My name is Yanrit the Sun. You come to the top of a windswept cliff. An ancient pillar of jumbled rock, pitted and weather-beaten, stands at the cliff's edge like a broken finger pointing at the sky. Seagulls sing their song of desolation in the air. Judging by the runes etched into the rock, the tour dates back to the time of the Shadar, a race that once ruled Harkuna so long ago they are lost in myth and legend. Let's examine these runes. We know little of magic. The runes mean nothing to you. In that case, we will not go down to the beach, but continue on the road. And now that we have the quest for the Black Dragon Knight, we could go to Marlock City. Marlock City contains a lot of dangerous encounters which would involve us using abilities that are not combat or sanctity. So maybe we shouldn't go there just yet. That Black Dragon Shield sounds really nice though, and if we get it, that's going to give us a very, very tempting dilemma. We could give up the shield to gain a rank, or keep it and use it defensively. Something tells me that it might currently be the only shield in the game. I certainly haven't seen any others yet. So do I want to go to Marlock City or Trefoil? Well, I spent most of my shards on this holy symbol, so I hope it becomes of great aid to me. Yeah, I'll go to Trefoil then. I can visit Marlock City at a later point. The main road between Marlock City, Trefoil and Karanbaru is well maintained with regular guard posts. The Sakarans are nothing if not efficient. Okay, we have a nice safe journey. The city of Trefoil is a terrifying vision of apocalyptic destruction. It had once been a thriving crossroads town, but now it is a burnt-out hulk. It was almost razed to the ground when it declared war for the late king during the recent civil war and tried to hold out against the army of Grieve Marlock, the current Protector General of Sakara. It was then sacked by the General's mercenaries, and General Marlock is now trying to rebuild it. Craftsmen are hard at work everywhere. Unfortunately, there is nothing here but ashes and rubble, and we have no idea who Olifard the Wizardly is. So, that looks like a dangerous place. It sounds like it's got cursed in the name. I will avoid that and instead head up here. Now, the reason I'm going for the woods here is that it involves less risk of death than... Sorry. Do beg your pardon. Venofax has a potentially very dangerous fight, and we might even be able to get a healing potion somewhere up here, but we should roam around a bit, see if we can find good things that will help us in our quest. You join the much-travelled road that connects Trefoil and Karanbaru. The traffic mostly consists of convoys of troops and supplies. Eventually, you come to the Weary Pilgrim Tavern, a way station between the cities. The tavern costs you 1 shard a day. We are currently healthy, and we're very low on shards. Each day you spend here will recover 1 stamina point if injured, up to the limit of your normal unwounded stamina score. Well, unfortunately we don't need to rest here just yet. Let's head into the Forest of Larun. The Forest of Larun is a mighty swathe of densely packed trees, a slice of primordial nature in the middle of busy, industrious Sakara. You thread your way through the ranks of trees. In places, the forest canopy almost blocks out the sunlight completely, and you are wandering in deep shadow, haunted by the cries of the creatures of the forest. Let us seek the Willow Druid. You're on a quest to take the oak staff to the Willow Druid, who lives in a sacred grove somewhere in the forest. You wander around looking for unusual tracks, strange creatures, anything that might lead you to a werewolf's den. Sorry, a druid's den. Right. That is a hard test. and one we could easily fail. Much to your embarrassment, you get lost in the vast forest, wander around for days. You wander around for days until you finally emerge at the Bronze Hills. You are walking through the Bronze Hills. Virtually the whole area has been given over to mining. Everywhere, quarries and mine shafts abound. It is a horrible expanse of torn up earth, hardly any areas of green are left. Great heaps of excavated rock leached of their useful minerals mar the landscape. You find a quarry that is open to the public. That is to say, if you pay 50 shards, you can dig for an hour in a silver mine. I'm not going to do that, that's very dangerous. Also, way out of our limit. We can go back to the Forest of Larun, that's great, let's do that. We shall once again try to roll a 9, 10, 11 or 12 on 2 dice. I'm expecting we're going to fail this a fair few times. Now, interestingly, before a recent patch, once you'd come up here, you couldn't go back down. You had to instead loop around to Karanbaru, down to there, then back. You know, it's a bit odd. But now I can go backwards and forwards again, and the constant rerolls make the difficulty a little less tedious, but also it's still... it doesn't make it any easier, you know? Fine. So, I'm doing this for 2 reasons. Firstly, I'd like to complete this stage of the quest, and secondly, I want to check what the follow-up dice roll is. I'm pretty sure it's Sanctity, in which case we have a reasonably good chance. Also, the only way we're going to make this easier is by purchasing a compass for something like 300 shards, which we obviously do not currently have. I see the castle of the Dragon Knights, but I am not yet ready to go there. That's very close. Will this be the one? No, it won't. Fine. So this feels a little abusive because there's no the back and forth. We're not taking damage, we're not losing money. There's nothing forcing us to suffer a great consequence. So repeated attempts are almost encouraged. Now, that's not entirely a bad thing, but the difficulty is still great. I think I'll give it a few more tries, and if it really doesn't work out, I'll have to give up and go somewhere else and come back here later and just say, dice, stop being horrid to me. Because at the moment, they really are being rather cruel. I don't think... No, we have rolled an 8 once. But statistically, there should be some high rolls as well. There we go. It is Sanctity! Oh, and one we can pass on a 5. How delightful. You come across a forest glade. Birds twitter in the trees and the woodland animals frolic playfully about. In the middle of the glade stands a mighty willow, ancient beyond reckoning. Its trunk is hollow and a wooden door has been set in the entrance. You step into the glade and make a Sanctity test, which I'm probably not... Oh, I passed! Great! You are pious enough to be allowed to enter the sacred grove. You step in and knock on the door. A kindly old druid opens the door and greets you. You hand him the oak staff. Thank you, says the druid. An oak staff, eh? That's an interesting message, to be sure. He hands you 50 shards as payment, which will come in very useful. And a willow staff, saying, Please take this staff to the oak druid in the city of the trees on the Isle of Druids. I'm sure he'll reward you too. Good day, and thanks again. With that, he shuts the door. Well, let's remember to pick this up before we leave. and let's venture deeper into the forest. You hack your way through the undergrowth until you stumble across an old ruin. Creepers and forest moss have grown over most of it, but you can see mask-like faces set into the walls, glaring down at you as if in angry outrage at your intrusion. You come to a massive stone slab, clearly a door. Set into the middle of it is a round granite face, the visage of a sleeping demon. Suddenly an eye pops open and regards you cautiously. "By the tentacles of Tantalum," exclaims the face in a gravelly voice. "A human? I haven't seen one of your lot for 100 years. An expression of suspicion forms on its rocky features. "What do you want, anyway?" "Well, I was just passing through," you comment airily. "Well, you can't pass through me unless you know the password. And that was given to me by Astralis, the Wizard King. Let me see. Now, 1,000 years ago by Ebron. This is his tomb, you know." "Well, how do I find the password?" "Well," says the demon, "Astralis was a wizard, so why don't you ask some wizards?" "Where would I find some wizards, you ask?" "How would I know?" replies the door testily. "I've been stuck here for 1,000 years." Well, apparently it's time to leave. So I'm going to go to the main road, and obviously this next step is a bit of a formality. The road is being blocked by wagons and supply convoys. A troop of soldiers forces its way through the throng, the men banging heads indiscriminately to clear people out of the way. You're mistaken for a beggar and given 10 shards by a passing priest. Wonderful! I know it was received 10 shards from, but I'm happy with given by, okay? We're back at Roadside Tavern. We're not damaged. We don't need to rest. We'll go back to Yellowport. And we will take passage to the Isle of the Druids. A bark heading for the Isle of the Druids to buy furs is prepared to take you across off 15 shards. Absolutely. The journey across the Sea of Whispers is uneventful, and you dock at the trading post on the island a week or so later. We should check the price of furs there. It may be a good commodity. The trading post is a small village set up here by enterprising settlers from the mainland. Its main export appears to be furs from the forest. The mayor, a fat genial fellow who greets you personally, insists that one day the trading post will be a thriving town. There's not a lot here yet, however. A small market, a quay, the settlers' houses, and a shrine to Lacuna, the goddess of nature. Furs. Almost the selling price, so that's a good buy. As is wood. For now, though, we're heading down to the forest. This might take a while. The trees are closely packed, leaning together as if in conference, whispering quietly among themselves. Birds twitter in the distance, and slivers of sunlight lance down through the musty gloom. As you proceed along the forest track, you think you hear a rustling in the bushes. Later, you spot a shadowy figure darting through the trees, or was it your imagination? An animal's snuffling sound right behind you makes you spin around, but there's nothing there. Oh, looking at a 7. Ah, wonderful. You struggle deeper into the forest until you come to a thick wall of impenetrable thorn bushes. Circling it, you find there is a break in the hedge, but it is filled by a large tree. Not so much to my surprise by this point, a face forms in the trunk and speaks in a woody voice. "None can pass. Begone, human." "Oh, it's you again," says the tree grumpily. "All right, off you go." The tree uproots itself and shuffles out of the way, leaving you free to visit the City of Trees once more. Let's absolutely do that. "Welcome to the City of the Trees," says a passing woman dressed in the garb of a druid. The city has been built amid the branches of several mighty oaks. Ladders run up and down the trees to houses that perch like nests in the branches. You're not allowed into any of the houses, but the druids allow you to barter at the market. Well, let's go see the Oak Druid. You give the willow staff to the Oak Druid of the City of Trees. "Oh, thank you," the druid intones, going on. "A willow staff, eh? I see." As a reward, the druid lets you train with the City of Trees' best hunters and trackers. When you're ready, you can leave the City of Trees and return to the trading post. That's a grand idea. Except I'm not going to return to the trading post. I'm going to the Standing Stones. It will be cheaper this way. A narrow path leads up the hill, the top of which is crowned with a circle of large obsidian standing stones hewn from solid rock. Despite the bitter wind that blows across these hills, the stones are unweathered and seem but newly lain. They form 3 archways, each carved with mystic symbols and runes of power. There are 3 stone gates engraved with ancient runes. Each gate is marked with a name: Yellowport, Marlock City and Wishport. From here you can see the coast and the whole island, which is heavily forested. Let's step through the archway to Yellowport. And when we get there, we are going to the shops. That compass would really help us, but it's a little out of our... Look, any items would be great. Also, with that scouting, we should now seriously consider going and dealing with the ghoul on the Island of the Druids. I mean, it's risky. Okay. No healing potions here, unfortunately. So we're going to leave and head on up to Venofax. Venofax is a strange-looking village. It looks like a single gigantic building. All the houses are joined together to form a jumbled mass, and none of the houses have doors. The only way in is through holes in the rooftop. Ladders lead up to the roof, which, in effect, forms a network of streets that the inhabitants travel across to get to certain buildings. "We had to build that way for the fence," says a passing farmer. "You see, the Scorpion men from the south cannot climb, so they can't get inside the town." Wandering around, you clamber down a ladder into a long, low hall, the Venofax Market. A sign reads, "Closed on Thursday." Fortunately, it's not Thursday, and a stocky, barrel-chested man with piggy eyes introduces himself as Fours, the master of the market. There is not much for you to buy or sell in this provincial market. Items with no purchase price are not available locally. Is there a healing potion? No. That's nice though. So the question is, if we travel up to the Healing Springs, where the healer sells healing potions, could we afford one for 50, or do we just go into this fight without one? Tricky. We have a spear we can sell. We're probably not going to use it. I say cautiously. No, I think we'll try and deal with local issues. You think of places that could be of potential interest to you in the strangest looking village you've seen so far. After a while, you narrow them down to a few useful possibilities. Let's talk with some villagers on a rooftop. A small boy runs up to you saying, "Help us! Help us! The man-eating bloodthirsty Gobbler has got my little sister!" His mother, a flaxen-haired beauty, comes up to him. "Surely you mean bloodthirsty, not Thursday," you ask. "Oh no," replies the young mother. "The man-eating bloodthirsty Gobbler is so named because it hunts only on Thursdays." The boy's name is Mikhail and his mother is Lynn. Her husband is away in the army, and her young daughter Hayley has been taken by the beast last Thursday. Apparently, several people have disappeared, never to be seen again. Oh, please help us, plead the villagers. Well, of course we're going to help them. We are a devout hero after all, strong in our faith. You wait until Thursday. Lynn tells you that the disappearances happened a little way out of town near an old farmhouse. Well, maybe people should just stop going there then. As you leave town, you notice Fours, the master of the market, heading in the opposite direction. Well, let's follow him and see what he's up to. After a while, Fours circles round, heading across country, and we will attempt a scouting check, which would have been significantly harder had we not dealt with the wereboar and the druid's staves. Passed by the skin of our teeth. You trail Fours to the old farm. He goes inside and you creep to see what he is doing. 3 rough-looking thugs are helping Fours get into what is obviously a monster suit. It's a bit like a giant hairy toad made of the hide of some animal stretched over a wooden framework. So much for the dreaded Gobbler. You wait by the door. As the thugs emerge, you club one to the ground, but you will have to fight the other 2. Let us do so. So this is what? Our third fight is the warrior? Oh, 2 enemies. Let's move to here. No, I meant there. I misclicked. Yes, do come closer, my enemies. I'm going to go with tactical assessment and move to here. Thank you for approaching. You're now going to get the shit kicked out of you. And we're gonna... That was dumb. Man down. Excellent. After the beating you served Fours and his accomplices, you wake him up with a bucket of cold water. He is eager to run off, but at the sight of a hardened adventurer rather than a timid villager, he surrenders and confesses all. He terrified people with the monster disguise to keep them away from the farm. He and his men were kidnapping villagers, chaining them in the cellar below and selling them to a slaver from Karanbaru for work in the slave mines. You find Hayley and several other villagers down below in the cellar. "Oh, don't hurt me," begs Fours. "I'm only trying to make a few shards." A few shards? He's selling people. "What, by selling your own people into slavery?" says one of the villagers, giving them a good kick. You lead them back to Venofax. Hayley runs into her mother's arms for a tearful reunion. Lynn, the mother, gives you a suit of chainmail armor and a sword. Wonderful. "These have been in the family for generations. It's all I have to give," she says. Fours is hauled off to the local magistrate for judgment. He'll probably be sold into slavery. I doubt it. Well now, we are done here. We will use... Look, Lorgar is a practical man. He doesn't see any need to use the new sword over the old. It's, one sword's as good as another in his eyes. But, it's a matter of personal honor. They've given it to him, he should keep it. And he gets some better armor to wear as well. The old armor can now be sold. We have some crossbow bolts. I'm just going to put those there as a reminder to myself. So now I'm going to go to Yellowport to sell off... Wait. Can we get better money for it? We might be able to. Nah. I'm going to sell all these 3. And now we're very close to being able to afford that ship. However, if we purchase a ship, we're also going to be able to want to purchase a crew and cargo. Now, we could operate on a poor basic crew, At 50, 300, we're looking at about 500 shards before we can start making a profit. So we're about halfway there. How can we gain more money? With great difficulty, there's no easy way. If we invest that money in a ship, we can't lose it. Let's go back to Venofax. And the Eastern Road. You're on a road between the Blessed Springs and Venofax. Pilgrims, the sick and injured, travel this route to the holy waters of Blessed Springs to find salvation. Oh, we're attacked by mad pilgrims. Wonderful. We might even get something out of this. Alright, I'm going to move to here and let them approach. If I go to here, and in my turn, I can now whack this one. So far so good. Let's go here so I can see what I'm doing a little better. And there we go. You win the fight. A quick search of their pockets and you find a potion of godliness and a staff. I should take that and that. Can I sell the potion of godliness for a good amount? Let's find out. I mean, I should probably use it. The village of Blessed Springs, nestling at the foot of a tall hill, has grown up around the holy waters. A special spring said to have healing powers, practically bath. It has been fenced off by the villagers and a priesthood appointed to supervise the supplicants who came to bathe or drink of the spring's waters. There is no market, but an alchemist has set up shop here. Let's check that alchemist. I could sell that for 10, not worth it. There are many potions here. The healing potion could come in very useful. But I probably shouldn't grab it just yet. Alright, let's go to Fort Brylon. Fort Brylon, named after a Sakaran king of the First Dynasty, is the southernmost castle on the fortified wall that keeps out the rabid, savage beasts. What the soldiers fear most is what they call death duty, going out on patrols beyond the wall into Neresh itself. The roads are patrolled by troopers of the Sakaran army. The fort is well supplied from Blessed Springs and traffic abounds. This would be really nice. We don't get it. You know what, we could be sneaky though. And keep trying a few more times. It would be nice if that button would roll the die. Because it's often right at the bottom of the page and scroll. Oh, a thief! A thief steals an item from you. Oh no! Oh dear! Whatever will I do without that lone crossbow bolt? So, yeah, that's the reason. So the thief there is a deterrent to frequent attempts. We'll give it one more try, come on, please. Yes! You find a man-beast's helmet. 5% chance to block. Wonderful! And now, Lorga can cover his bald pate and protect himself from frequent head injuries. That chance to block is 1 in 20. It's not brilliant, but better than nothing. You're crossing an area of fertile farmland, where much of the food is grown to feed the army. Little farmsteads dot the landscape, and the ploughed fields have the appearance of a patchwork quilt. Nothing unfortunate happens, that's great. Let's head down to Karanbaru. Karanbaru is a medium-sized town that acts as a way station between the citadel to the north and the rich towns of the south. It is a garrison town. Many supplies, arms and soldiers move through Karanbaru on the north-south trail. Shops, temples, traders and the like have sprung up here to serve the needs of the military. There is also a sizable mining community, for the mines of Sakara lie in the Bronze Hills just outside town, and a slave market where poor unfortunates sold into slavery are bought for work in the mines. Yes, I imagine Fours may end up there shortly. The Karanbaru market consists of several covered arcades. Much of its stock is for miners and soldiers, and it is run with business-like efficiency by the Sakaran military. Well, let's first go to the marketplace, sell off that stuff. And yes, we wouldn't have got a good price for the ring mail here. Wolf pelts do sell for a good amount here, though. We might need to try that a few times. But the wolves are rather difficult to handle when we're on our own, without some slightly better equipment. Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it? Oh, I could have sold the chainmail to... Yeah, alright. Actually, that's a good point. Make that a bad point. Let's try again. $180? Oh yes. Let's visit the Temple of Taranai. The Temple of Taranai, the god of battle, chaos and strife, is built like a small fortress in one corner of the city near the barracks. Its heavy wooden gates are flanked by iron statues of bull-headed men wielding clubs. The workmanship is uncannily lifelike. Inside, the god is represented by a stone idol of a jaguar-headed warrior. A beautiful suit of golden chainmail adorns the idol. Let's become an initiate of the temple. Becoming an initiate of Taranai gives you the benefit of paying less for blessings and other services the temple can offer. To qualify as an initiate, you must have a combat score of at least 6. Unlike other temples, there is no entry fee. You cannot do this if you're already an initiate of another temple. Well, we are a warrior. Taranai has been recorded as your god in your adventure sheet, and now it's time to come out and play. Right. That being said though, it's probably a grand time to finish the episode. So, I'm going to leave this one here. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, because I certainly have, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in the next one. I'm going to say bye-bye for now though, and cheerio everyone!